Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Cully and Conlon. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. They are one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, we love him very much, and he's a proud supporter of our podcast network. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and Yukon legendary player Jake Voskuhl. I actually get to meet with them today. That's going to be interesting. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large and small. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you suffered any type of personal injury, a slip and fall, a car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all over the state of Connecticut, and he will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by Yukon legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice, helps them to reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. He has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford. If you want to work with the best, go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. Down south, we have Julius Williams and the Trench Mob. Julius is in Decatur, Georgia. He trains offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments, and they also go to college showcase camps. Proud to say they were undefeated in tournament season, and every camp they attended, a member of the Trench Mob was awarded a full college scholarship. Julius has sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama. So if you want to work with the best and you are an offensive lineman, go to www.battleofthetrenches.com. And remember, the Trench Mob Show is every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m., where we feature the top linemen in the country. James Whitfield of Luther James Insurance. For the last 3 years, James has dedicated himself to the art of financial planning. He specializes in insurance policies, especially life insurance. He will save you a boatload of money, and he will do so tax-free. He also focuses on retirement planning because he understands the stress that goes into it. How much am I going to need? For how long? Do I have enough? Can I make my money work for me? Because fear of the unknown is real. And to connect with James and get a free quote, go to lutherjamesinsurance.com. Now for the lady of the hour, Yukon legendary player and current Western Connecticut State University head coach, Maria Conlon. Maria, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
So a lot is going on, and we are, I believe, 6 days away from D-Day. 5 days, 4 days. Everyone is talking about the looming lockout, the CBA not coming to fruition, and a work stoppage. And I've read several articles saying there's some divide within the league, but there's also concern that a work stoppage could be grim for the league after the momentum that they built. And they're using the NHL as an example when they had their lockout, I believe 15 years ago, and Major League Baseball, the 94 lockout. It was kind of catastrophic. Teams lost millions of dollars in revenue from attendance. Television dollars went down, and it took really the summer of 98 when everyone was juiced up and hitting home runs to bring people back to the stands. So there is quite a bit of concern going around right now. And the WNBA really finds itself in a similar situation to the NHL when this happened in the early 90s. The popularity of the league has made it more mainstream than ever. The WNBA is expanding, currently 13 teams going to 15 in 2026, 18 by 2030, and they all have increasing commercial opportunities. Ratings are continuing to surge, the highest ever. The league set an attendance record in August, and this is obviously the worst time that this can happen, but there seems to really be a disconnect or a dislike for each other for trying to come to the table and put this to bed. Do you see this going long term? Like they said the last one, the last two that they had went to January and February, and they were still able to do the draft, free agency, and start the season on time. But do you see this as being different, maybe even personal?
Yeah, I think they've really been strongholding, what they want and what they're asking for. I do think that it's just not great timing. Not that it's ever good timing to go to a lockout or anything, but certainly with the momentum that they have, it's not great timing. I think the one thing that they have going for them is that I think that there's enough women's basketball fans that do believe that the players are not compensated correctly. Now, whether that number is what they're asking for or not, I think everybody can agree that, they certainly aren't paid what they're worth.
Correct.
So it's not like one of these other ones where like, all right, you're arguing over a couple of different millions and you guys are still making millions. It's not that dramatic. So I think they do have that going for them. And I think the growing popularity in the game is not going to slow down. But I think in terms of a momentum and, taking that through to next year, I think it would be a huge setback. I don't think that they're going to come to an agreement by the end of this week. At least it doesn't seem that way. And everybody that I've talked to or everything that I've seen. So I think it will go to December, January, etc. Hopefully that's when it ends. It could go even longer than that. But I would anticipate it going to at least then.
And, the health of the league is great. The value of the franchises has never been higher. The $250 million they got in expansion fees from Golden State was huge and spread throughout the league, and they're getting that from the other two expansion teams coming in this season. But it just seems like, the NBA, we'll get into that. But do you think Kathy Engelbert is fit to solve this problem? Do you think that they will negotiate with her? Do you think that she has the trust of any of the players?
No, I think that that's clear. I wouldn't be surprised. Like some of the stuff that I'm reading, I would not be surprised if Adam Silver came in and tried to,
Yeah.
use the situation and help them come to an agreement. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't think they're going to get rid of her before this first deadline, but
Right.
I think long term they need to find a better fit, one that the players believe in, one that's going to have the players' best interest, top of mind. Um, but when that switch happens, I'm not sure. I would assume it would be certainly after this negotiation, maybe before the next, but who knows?
Yeah. No, I mean, tensions have been rising throughout this entire season. And one of the big issues that I have read about multiple times has been the officiating. And what would be the solution for that? Because they apparently do not use NBA refs from what I read. Are they not trained the same? Obviously, they're not paid the same. But what do you think would help that? Because obviously injuries have happened, players have been furious about it, coaches have even been furious about it. There's no real easy solution to it, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the officiating problem.
Yeah, I mean, every male female sport, typically they don't have the same reps. So even in college, you have a women's officiating team, you have a men's officiating team. So that part is
Okay.
not surprising. I think, definitely some more training, some more conversations on consistency, maybe some different points of emphasis with some of these refs. I do think that the women's game has very quickly become more physical by nature. So with that, I think
Wow.
some points of emphasis and some changes need to be discussed. But I think like with most players and with most coaches, we ask for consistency, right? And you want your players protected. Now that doesn't mean that other teams can't foul or they can't play physical, but you want to make sure that some of the stuff that I think has been happening that they've let slide, you got to take control of the game. And I think we saw a bunch of games this past season in the WNBA where the referees didn't have control over the game and it got out of hand and it got more physical than it should and players got hurt. And it's your job as a ref to maintain the integrity and the safety of the game, consistently for, the length of the game. And I think that there was just too many times this past season where that wasn't the case.
And yeah, and that was with Caitlin Clark being out the majority of the season, which is even more crazier. A question just came in. Toronto hired Sandy Bordello as the new head coach. Did you know that?
Did Toronto hire her or did I thought Portland hired her. I could be wrong on that.
Um, it says
But
the Toronto Tempo. Yeah,
so I mean,
you
I
always
said this
liked
as
her.
soon as she got let go from the Liberty. I mean, I assumed that she would get scooped up pretty quickly. Um, so I don't think, yeah, it was Toronto. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pickup for them. They have obviously they're going to have the expansion draft and all these different things, but she's a proven coach in the league. She's got European ties and she's got experience coaching in Europe as well. So I figured that one of these teams that let their coaches go is going to scoop her up, and I think Toronto's a good fit. She can, I think, be a steady force of somebody who knows how to win in this league at the helm. Um, I mean, we've just seen so many coaches get let go pretty quickly, and one team's loss is another team's gain. So I figured she would get picked up pretty quickly. So that's not a surprise at all.
Somebody asked if you know Kathy Engelbert's background. Does she have a background in sports? Did she work for the WNBA or the NBA before being
Well,
appointed commissioner slash
no, I
president?
mean she's a Deloitte hire, right? So her background is more that way. And we've seen a lot of that in the WNBA and um, you know,
What's Deloitte?
Deloitte, it's like a major it's like an accounting firm. It's like a financial accounting firm.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean that's her main background. Obviously, they're a big player in the WNBA and things like that. But I think at this point, it's probably time to look at someone who has a little bit. I mean, I think the hire with her was because she's a businesswoman, so they think
Mhm.
that she's savvy in that way, which she has made some great strides as president, right? I mean, the league has grown and gotten different investments, etc. Um, but I think you need to combine if you're going to be the face of the organization and out there communicating with the players and having these relationships. I think it has to be a little bit more than just business savvy. Um, you need someone who can really foster these relationships and make the players feel like they're listened to. And she just hasn't done a great job of that.
No, she hasn't. She seems a little abrasive too, from what I've seen as well.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Everybody talks about different conversations and stuff with her without being in the room. You don't really know how abrasive anything really was. But, obviously she's done some stuff to rub the players the wrong way. She hasn't handled situations the way that they would have wanted. So, it's time to maybe look in a different direction when it comes to that.
All right. Several people have wanted your opinion on the NBA, I guess, betting scandal that has happened. Several players have been arrested, poker games, inside knowledge of players sitting out games or injuries. And I guess this is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's why they're saying there's questions of Adam Silver being able to survive this. Um, Betting on sports, used to be the worst thing you could do in the world. And now it's legal. I mean, it's legal for college students, college athletes to bet on professional sports. But what were your thoughts on, like Chauncey Billups and I think Terry Rozier and some of the other guys that were caught up in this with the poker games and with the insider betting and this massive investigation that spanned years and years?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think we're going to see some more names come down the pipeline. I don't think that it stops there. I mean, betting on a game or that you have no control over is one thing. I think when you have a coach who is, intentionally taking starters out to cover spreads, etc. I mean, it's a really bad look. It's really unfortunate. I do think that we're going to see a lot more names come out of this. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I mean, betting's been going on for a really long time.
Yep, it
To
sure
your
has.
point, it is legal now, which I think is fine, but this is taking it obviously a step further when you have control of the outcome or just flat out, the poker games, that stuff's like crazy.
Oh
Um,
my God.
but
Yeah.
I assume stuff has been happening like that forever. The betting on the games and the twisting of lines, etc. When you're in control of the outcome to an extent, I think is egregious. So hopefully the investigation wraps up and they can, kind of nab whoever it is that it is part of this. I don't think this is the end,
No.
but yeah, just a really unfortunate bad look for the NBA. Obviously, right in the start of the season.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It was a good start to the season from what I read. There were
yeah,
some good performances, some good games,
yeah, and there's some
and
exciting. There's
I'll
a lot
let
of
you.
exciting players, new players coming into the league, but anytime you have such a negative cloud over you with something like this, it's never a good thing. So, yeah,
No.
it's crazy. I mean, I saw a clip of Terry Rozier just flat out like not even throwing it to a teammate, turnovers towards the. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, I'm not a big gambler of sorts, and certainly not really of NBA games. I don't watch it enough to be able to do that. But the next level of it too is that on these different betting websites like DraftKings, etc. It's not even just that you're able to bet on the line. It's like you can actually bet on how many points a player is going to have and when they're going to score it.
All those
And
prop bets. Yep.
yeah, I mean, so you got a couple of buddies that are saying, okay, you're gonna hit the over of 22 points or whatever the heck it is. I mean, a lot of that stuff is in your control. So I think it's always going to be a slippery slope because betting is legal now. But obviously, as an organization, you have to do what you can to contain, the manipulation of certain outcomes.
Another couple people have asked, why does this seem to always happen in the NBA? We haven't
Yeah, I don't
seen
know.
it
I mean,
in the
listen, I'm
other
sure
leagues.
I'm sure it's happening in other sports. I think in a game of like in basketball, for example, I think one or two players have a little bit more control over a game than you would see in like football, right?
Correct.
Like,
Right.
unless you're like intentionally fumbling the ball or whatever, I just don't know that you can manipulate it as much as you can in a basketball game. You're also playing way more games,
That's very true.
right? So, it could be a random back-to-back game where,
Less noticeable.
yeah. So with football and even with baseball, I mean, again, like an egregious error in baseball really, really stands out. A turnover in basketball doesn't stand out as much.
No.
More points are being scored. There's just way more ways to manipulate it, I think, from a sport perspective that, allow people to take advantage of stuff like that.
And, some people are suggesting a new way to have the draft format. Is there a better way to structure the draft? Is there a better way to avoid teams from tanking? I know they've tried to prevent it. I know they've put in rules against player participation. When you're on the road, especially. But I know there's also so much that goes into load management because they are playing so much, and you can't expect them to give you 75, 80 games a year. That's a lot. But is there a way to control it with, maybe tweaking the lottery system with the draft or anything like that?
I mean, they've changed it a bunch of different times. It's I think no matter how you change it, people are going to find a way to manipulate the system to their advantage. Um, maybe having like an independent company do the lottery portion of it, so
Yeah.
that it's a little bit more impartial. I mean, we've consistently seen, teams that um, maybe should have had like the sixth pick end up with the first pick and stuff like that. So maybe like an independent sourcing
And
system
they
or
do it
company that
behind
does
closed
that.
doors half the time too.
Yeah. So I think, I think what people just want is transparency because you're always going to have these conspiracy theories. And like, listen, you could have one horse in the race and still get the number one draft pick. That does happen. I mean, the
It
odds are a
has,
lot
yeah.
lower, but for it to consistently happen the way that it does, it just raises questions. So I think, more transparency and like I said, maybe an independent company or whatever that is
Monitor it.
orchestrating it could help with the transparency. But in terms of being able to manipulate it, I think people will always find a way.
And for the 2025-2026 season, somebody had asked, who would be your 5 top players to watch going into the college basketball season?
We're talking about on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lauren Betts over at UCLA. If Juju was healthy, it would
Juju,
be it
yep.
would be Juju. I think,
Oh, that's
you
right.
got yeah. I mean, you got obviously AZ and Sarah Strong at Connecticut. Um, you have, well, actually, what's her name from South Carolina is out too with a torn ACL. Hidalgo at Notre Dame, I think, is a good one to watch. Olivia Miles, obviously, who transferred out to go to TCU, is another one to watch. Um, so there's a lot of good. Kiki Rice over in UCLA is another one. You got a lot of really good talent this year, I think. Um, from a basketball perspective. So, a lot of good players out there to watch. But I think some of the heavy hitters that we had last year are still there. So some of those kids are the same kids to watch, but um, it'll be an interesting year, I think, depending on who stays healthy and what the draft will look like and who ends up getting that number one pick. Do you go guard? Do you go big and Lauren Betts? It'll be interesting because I think I could see like 4 or 5 kids being the number one draft pick coming out of this year.
Oh, Christy, you just love to torment me. I thank you. Um, Chris D would like to know, is there anyone who can challenge or who will give UConn trouble in the Big East this year?
No,
No, not even close, right?
no. The short answer to that is absolutely not. I think that they steamroll through the Big East like they did last year. In a lot of ways, UConn's deeper this year than they were last year, so it'll be
Mm-hmm.
barrier. I mean, but they have a bear of an out of conference schedule, so
Non-conference.
I don't anticipate them going into the NCAA tournament undefeated. Could they? Yeah, but they got a lot of decent out of conference games that I think will give them some trouble. But no, I don't see anybody challenging them in the Big East at all.
Yeah, they brought in a couple good transfers. They have such a great class. And were we the only team from the Big East that made it in last year, or did we have one other to the tournament, to the NCAA tournament?
I believe we had one other.
I
I think there
I
was
thought
two.
Creighton. Maybe I'm thinking the men, but yeah,
Yep, Creighton made it.
I thought there
Yep.
was two as well. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, I was looking at the transfers and the roster, and I mean, Paige is Paige, and I know she was hurt a lot last year. I look at this team, and I honestly think they could be better than last year, like you said. I mean, they just seem to have so many pieces. They got better inside. Sarah Strong, she won't have to play, hopefully the 4 or the 5 as much. She'll be able to showcase her skills. But do you see this team potentially being better than last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're definitely the front runner to win the whole thing again. Again, always barring injuries,
You're
right? Any
correct.
major injuries can change the trajectory very quickly. But I think they're deeper than last year. They got Ducharme back, they got Patterson back, they added a couple of transfers. They have a couple of freshmen that can do a lot of nice stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I anticipate them. And then, by the way, like you got to add on to it. You have like 8 kids who played a lot of minutes last year that now have the experience and know how to win, down the stretch and in the tournament. So, that always works to your advantage and kids get better, they get more comfortable, they slide into different roles. And they have the best coaching staff in the country. So, all of those things add up to, I think that they'll be in a position and have an opportunity to win back to back.
Christy also wants to know, how have your practices been going at WestCon? And
Good. Yeah,
he's
we
going to
had
try to come down and see you play.
our first scrimmage last Saturday. We looked really good. We won by like 30. Um, it's just a very different look for us this year. We've
Yeah.
got some returners that have really learned, how we want to play the game. We've added a lot of really, really great talent. Our kids that were here last year got a lot better. I think the continuity of the offense looks really good. Our defense looks good. So, it should be a fun season. We have another scrimmage. This Saturday, we travel to Coast Guard, which, historically, obviously, that they're very disciplined. They're in great shape, so it'll be a good preseason matchup for us to get out there and play against a team that we know, is gonna do things early on that you might not see from other teams until like midway. So it'll be a
They're
good
not in your conference, though, right?
No, 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 no,
No, they're not in your conference.
no.
Christy, why are you hammering me, Christy? Who is the biggest threat in your conference? Who's the returning champion, number one, and who do you see as being your biggest threat or a couple of your top threats?
Yeah, I mean, Rick is always good. UMass Dartmouth won it last year. They graduated a lot, but I'm sure they reloaded. Southern Maine and Keene State return a lot, and they finished really strong last year. And then Eastern always gives us issues. So the LAC is deep. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
good programs in the LAC. So they haven't come out with any preseason stuff yet, but I anticipate that it'll be a challenging schedule and a challenging season.
Because you have, I think, did you say you have 16 girls or 15?
Yep, 15 girls.
Yeah. You got a
Three
pretty good
transfers.
rotation down.
Yeah, we have 3 transfers, 6 freshmen, and then some 5 or 6 returners sprinkled in there. So, but the morale's good, the chemistry's good. So we're happy with where we're at for this point of the season.
And Joe D had mentioned there's a game tonight. Is it the men or the women? He said it's against Michigan State.
It's got to be the men. It's not the women.
Okay, it's got to be the men. All right. Because he wanted me to make sure I did my homework before tomorrow and watch it.
There you
go. Gun to your head, what are you expecting for the lockout? Do you think it goes past Christmas? Do you think it goes January, February? People say obviously the longer it goes, the more pressure that's on both sides to get an agreement done. But it really seems that it's almost like the government shutdown where lines are drawn in the sand and both groups have what they want, and the owners feel that they've taken losses for a while and they want to make some of that money back. The players feel they've turned this league around and it's going to be profitable for years to come, and they deserve a bigger piece of the pie. But gun to your head, what would you say right now after 3 weeks of talking about it? Is this a war of attrition, or is this something that could magically be solved in a couple weeks?
I don't think it's magically solved in a couple of weeks. I would see it go into December, January. I don't know what the next deadline is after this week, but
Right.
Obviously, I think it's pretty clear right now, unless some miracle happens in the next couple of days. It seems like it won't get done by the end of this week. So, like I said, I'd anticipate it going out. And like the only good part, I shouldn't even say good, like the benefit to the WNBA is right now, and I say this with a grain of salt, like people care, but they don't care, right? Like everybody's gearing up for college basketball right now.
They are.
So they can kind of fly underneath the radar a little bit. It's not like it's at a point right now where they're pushing a season out and not starting on time because they're in a lockout. So I think there's still plenty of time. And like I said, I do think people will be distracted with the college season. Listen, you got NFL going right now, you got college football, and you got college basketball starting. I hate to say it, but I just don't think that the WNBA is top of mind with the fans right now. And the hope is that obviously they get it tied up before, they start back up again in May, but they have plenty of time to get there. And I'm confident that they will get there before that point, but I don't think it's going to be by Friday.
And did you watch any football over the weekend? Anything that caught your eye?
You know what I watched? I actually watched the Dallas game. I don't know why. It was one of the ones that I got on my TV, and we had a busy Sunday with fall league and stuff. But the Dallas Cowboys are I just don't even
Can you
understand.
believe
It. They're just so bad. It's crazy. But
it? It is insane. It is insane how bad they are.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's all I got to say about that. Who did I take in my pick'em league this week for the spread? I took the Bills. They had a big win, which was nice.
Yes. They covered. Yep.
Yeah, so I took the Bills, so I was happy this week. But yeah, outside of that, I haven't gotten to watch as much NFL.
Yeah, you're
as I
busy
normally
now.
would, because my Sundays have been kind of crammed. But I love football, so I'll watch it whenever, anyways.
And
bad loss for the Huskies last weekend, though. At Rice, bad loss.
Had to bring that up.
I know.
I was sticking my head in the oven after that one.
It's like coming off such a great win against BC. It's like, what the heck happened? But
I warned ahead. I warned ahead because we struggle against quarterbacks that can run, and Rice had a running quarterback. But I don't put it all on the kids. I
like our quarterback. I think our quarterback's played really, really well. I really do.
Joe is amazing.
He's probably the best quarterback we've had since Dan.
Statistically, for the last 2 years, he's been phenomenal in that department, and he was on pace to be the first quarterback to win 9 games in back-to-back seasons in forever. I don't obviously know if that's going to happen. It's going to take a miracle. But Joe has been an incredible leader. He can make every throw on the field. I love his toughness. I just think we ask him to do certain things that he struggles with executing. And I'm always big on putting players in a position to succeed. Joe doesn't throw the best on the run. So, of course, we call 5 plays where he's sprinting out and having to throw on the run, and he just misfires. He's just not as accurate when he throws on the run. But when he's got a clean pocket, he's excellent. Yeah. Cam Edwards, the running back.
You know what? But we're scoring points. It's funny because, historically, I just feel like UConn's always been known for their defense and holding people, and it's not like the offense isn't scoring.
No,
it just feels like it's been our defense this year.
Yeah, the defense gave up 300 yards rushing. The defense is struggled against the run all year, and that's what's frustrating. And then UAB, who we play Saturday, upset Memphis, who was ranked 22 in the country. So that's scary because, we need UAB. We need Florida Atlantic. That's the last game of the year. If we get those 2, that puts us at 7 wins. And then if we can pull one out at Duke or Air Force, that'll put us back to 8-4 and have a chance to a bowl game and be 9-4. Worst case scenario, 6-6. Yeah. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. The adjustments that need to be made are minor. They can fix it. But I put it more on the coaches than I do the players. You got to put the players in a position to succeed, and we're just not doing that. So I'm just hoping this weekend will be different. And are you dressing up for Halloween, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I always dress up. I love Halloween. Yeah. I love it.
Is Layla going to be trick-or-treating?
She probably will with her friends. She's not as into it as she used to be, But yeah.
Is the little guy, you going to take him out?
Oh, yeah, of course. He's pumped up.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. You got to send me a picture of him in the costume. Well, thank you so much. I wish you the best this week and your scrimmage Saturday. If you're around, are you around Friday night or no?
Friday night? Well, it's Halloween.
That's Halloween.
I'll be trick-or-treated.
I'll text you. I'll see if I can run into you Friday night because I'm coming in Friday night.
All right, awesome.
Thank you. and thank you for your thoughts on the lockout. A lot of concern, but as you said, so much is going on. I think you're absolutely right that it's a good time for it to be happening with college basketball starting and the NFL heating up. But I do agree with you; it's going to be the long haul. So,
Yep.
for UConn legend, Western Connecticut State head coach Maria Conlon, I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at Rice.